Good evening, or afternoon, or morning, depending on where you are. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first in our How-To for Work series. And we're going to be focusing this hour on preparing a first meeting. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jon-Eric Verbling Teacher. I'm an American teacher from New York City, and I'm hanging out today from Lisbon, Portugal. Nice to see everyone. 3 quick rules to help you in my class. Easy to remember. Turn off, tune in, open up. What does that mean? Turn off means please turn off your microphone when you come into the class. Additionally, close the Verbling window the moment the Google Hangout opens. The reason for that is you'll get an echo and it'll be very hard to hear anything for us, plus you're going to hear your own voice, so it's distracting. Tune in means tune into the new words. Try to activate what you learn, especially when we're having a discussion, because that's how you're going to learn, is by putting it into practice. And finally, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Rule 3 is open up. That means don't be closed. Open up. Experiment with the language, speak as much as possible. The more you do, the more feedback I can give you, and that's how you learn. In the first 2 minutes of class, as you already know, we have premium members can make a reservation. I'll give you a few pointers about that, but let's say a quick hello to Mr. Germano Heitor. Hello, Mr. Germano. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Excellent. Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil, but I'm living in Sweden.
You're living in Sweden, really? And where in Sweden? In
At
Stockholm?
Malmo, in Malmo. No, it's
Malmo.
region south, yes.
Ah, very good. And do you speak Swedish?
Not at all. I'm learning English first, and I'm trying to improve. Maybe later I will start to learn some Swedish, but right now only bad English, so...
Okay. Well, then I'll say bem-vindo à aula, and I can say welkomen as well.
Welcome, right. Cool.
Are you a premium member?
No, I'm not.
How did you get the reservation, Germano? Let's tell everyone else in the group how to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I just clicked. It's my first time here, and I clicked there, and now I'm here. I don't know if I did something wrong.
And that's one way to do it.
All right.
In your first class, you get the first time you're here, you get some reservations, or one, I think. But to get other reservations without being a premium member, just to test it out, you just go to the top of the page where it says Get Reservations, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do. In fact, I will just quickly share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay, so obviously you can become a premium member here, but you can also send out invitations to friends, and there are, at least on my screen, 1,000+ invitations. So if I have 1,000 friends, I guess I get 1,000 reservations. There's a video to watch. You can connect with Facebook or like us on Facebook, just so you know. So those are some other ways to continue to get a spot reserved in a class. And let me go back to my course, because I have a PDF I have to put in the, not a PDF, a doc I have to put in the chat window for you. Okay, I'm going to say hello to some other people that I don't know, and let's see if there's any faces I do know. Mr. Uh-oh. I'm hearing my voice. That means that somebody... Oh, that's me. Hold on. Sorry about that. That was my voice. I had the Verbling window open. Exactly what I tell you not to do, that's what I did. So, welcome back to Mr. David Ramirez in Barcelona.
Hello.
Hey, nice to have you back. I'm going to just quickly go through some people that I don't know. Oh, we've got Hazel. Hi, Hazel. Welcome to class.
Hello, thank you.
Nice
Nice
to
to
have
be
you
here.
back.
Nice to be here.
Excellent. And I think the rest of you I'm seeing for the first time. So I want to say just a quick hello. I'd like to know where you're from and what you do, just so I can start to remember for the next time. So Freddie Sandoval, quick hello to Freddie.
Hello,
Hi, Freddie. Where are you from?
I'm from Central America.
You're from Central America. Oh, that's a
Yes.
pretty big place.
Dick. What means Dick? What means Dick?
Big place.
Big.
Big place.
Ah, big.
Where are you from in Central America, if you don't mind me asking?
From Guatemala.
From Guatemala. Excellent. Okay. Nice to have you here. And I'm going to say a quick hello to, I think it's Hosina or Hochina. How do you say your name? Hosina? Houcine. Turn on your microphone, Hosina. Freddie, I'm just going to mute you for a moment because we're getting a lot of background noise. Okay, but
Okay.
you can turn on your microphone when you're ready to speak. Okay. Okay, and Hosina, you don't have a microphone. Okay, well, we can try to have you in the class using the chat room. We'll see how it goes. It might be a little difficult. And a quick hello to Morat Nareen. Hi, Morat. Hi, Morat. Where are you from?
I am from Turkey.
Excellent. Nice to have you here. And make sure you close the Verbling window when you're in the Google Hangouts, because I'm hearing my voice. I think it's coming from you. Maybe not.
Oh, maybe it's for
but-
me. Just no way.
Yeah, just try to have only the Google Hangout open if you can.
Right.
And anything you need, I'll post in the Verbling chat window if there's a link. Don't worry about it.
Microphones off.
Okay. And Freddie, I need to mute you because I'm hearing. No, you're okay. Sorry. And Rosa Maria, quick hello to
Hello.
Rosa Maria. Hi, Rosa. Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
You're from Spain? Where in Spain? Spain's big.
Yeah, in Murcia.
In Murcia.
Yes, it's in the west, in
Okay.
the south, in the southwest,
Near
near
Yeah.
Alicante.
Okay. I've been a little bit southwest. Oh wait, so you're near where I am. You're on this side, near Portugal.
No, in the other side.
No, in the other side, Murcia, Jon.
So that's the
is,
southeast, not the southwest. Okay.
Southeast, yes.
Okay, because
Sorry.
I was saying southwest. How come I've never heard of that? That's near me. Okay, great to have you here. And Selma Bella. Hi, Selma.
Hello, teacher.
Hi, Selma. Where are you from?
I am from Algeria, North Africa.
Oh, I know where Algeria is, Selma.
Okay.
But thanks for telling me which part of Africa it's in. I've never been there. I've been to Morocco, but not Algeria. But I have friends from Algeria. So, excellent to have you in class. And a final hello to a late joiner, Adela Munoz. Hello, Adela. Are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Adela.
Yes.
And where are you from, may I
Hi,
ask?
thanks. I'm from Spain.
You're from Spain, too. Okay. Are you near Barcelona like Mr. David Ramirez? Or are you
Near in Valencia.
in Valencia? Okay,
very
excellent.
near.
Not so far away. Okay, everyone. Today
Medium Murcia and Barcelona.
In between, we say. In between.
Okay.
In between. Oops. My problem is that I can't write.
Yes.
Between.
Between. Yes.
Very slowly. There you go. In between, to know that it's kind of in the middle. So listen, everyone. Today, this is the How to for Work series, meaning we learned how to do things related to our jobs. And I was going to start the series with meeting skills, what we do in a meeting. So today is more of a conversation. What I really want to do is establish the vocabulary that we're going to use to have meetings in future sessions. So I've prepared two documents. One I've already shared with you, but if you need a copy, let me give you the link right now in the, in the chat window. There you go. And if you need it in the Google chat, I'll put it there as well. And this is just the document we're going to use to do a little bit of brainstorming and try to establish the vocabulary that we need. But I prepared a second document, and for that I have to share my screen. And that's where we're going to do our actual brainstorming. So let me go ahead and share that now. Hold on. I'm going to try my best. This sometimes doesn't work. Let's see. All right. So right now you should see a small, I don't know if I can make this bigger. Can everyone read that word in the center of the page?
No.
Yes.
I got a no
Meetings.
and a yes. Okay, let me see if I can make it just a little bit bigger. Hold on. Yes, I can make it bigger. Oh, that's smaller. Wait. There we go. Okay. You're right. If you said meetings, it's meetings. And what we're going to do is start off talking about our experiences. And I'm going to start to collect your ideas for vocabulary and create a little mind map. And then at the end of class, we're going to take all this vocabulary, I'm going to print it out, and I'm going to post it for you on the VerbLink website for you to have a copy for the next time. So you're not going to lose anything. I have a few questions for you just to start off. First of all, I'd like to know who here has business meetings regularly in your jobs? And you know what? I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen so I can see you. So let's start there. Does anyone have regular business meetings in English? I'd like to know a little bit about your experiences. So Germano, why don't you tell us about what you have to do? Just briefly. And let's compare that as a group.
Yes, every morning we we have a meeting and we try to understand what we have to do, and yeah, and that's it. Basically, we have a meeting every morning, and we have one guy that keeps saying for everyone what we have to do.
Right.
And yes, that's it.
Okay, great. So what's your role in the meeting typically? Are you there to lead the meeting? What do you do?
No, I'm an animator. I work with motion graphics.
Right.
So I'm just a part of the team, and I keep listening. And if I have some question or something like that, I prepare in my mind. I just prepared in my mind first, and then I say, because sometimes I get struggle with my English. So
okay, excellent. And so this is a really good class for you, because what we can do is, as I said, today we're going to look at the vocabulary, and in future classes we're going to actually have meetings, so you can kind of have one of your meetings. We could simulate one of your meetings in here. But we're also going to focus on the kind of language you should use. I want to get a few other ideas. Does anyone else have regular meetings in English besides Germano?
Hello.
Hey.
I don't have a lot of meeting. In fact, I don't have any job, but I'm expecting to have meeting in the future.
Excellent. You're in the right place. Freddie, can you just tilt up your webcam a little bit, because I just see your chin. I'd like to see your face, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do something about it.
Don't disappear or anything. Just tilt your webcam up a little bit, because I see your teeth, and that scares me.
That's me.
Where are you? If you don't talk, hold on a second. Let me see. Hey, there you go. Okay, excellent. Thank you. I like seeing faces. If you people have webcams, try to turn them on. So that's Freddie, everyone. Say hi to Freddie.
Hello.
And so, Freddie, what do you think your meetings will be about? You said you were expected to have them in the future, so what do you anticipate they'll be about, and what do you think your role will be?
In fact, I'm not sure. Maybe business or something.
Okay, so are you expecting to get a job soon where you're going to be having business meetings?
Of course, absolutely. That's what I'm expecting to do in the meeting.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, and one more question for the group. Did anyone, or I should say, has anyone had meetings in the past where something went wrong or where they could have done something better?
Yes, me.
Go for it.
I had some interviews in Spanglish.
Oh my God, Spanglish, that dreaded language, which is somewhere between Spanish and English.
Yes, we start Spanish, then English, then Catalan, and then again English.
Oh my
So,
goodness. And who was
crazy?
was everyone speaking a different language? Or
Yes,
was it you doing the Spanglish, David?
and all people, because it was an interview at the airport, and if the person speaks in English, you must answer in English, and if it's Spanish, Spanish, and if it's Catalan, Catalan.
And this was a meeting you said at the airport?
Yes.
What do you work for the airport?
I'm now unemployed. It's for being at the check-in point.
Ah, okay, okay. At the reception where they get you into where the
No,
boarding area is.
to get the people, put their luggage,
Right,
and say
right,
where are you going, and a lot of things.
Right, right, right. So when you get into the area where you're going to board the flight, you have to go to a check-in first.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, everyone. We got a few ideas here, and I'm going to help. Let's create this mind map together. So let's start with, I said, if you remember, my first question was about your role. And so I'm going to put role on the top right. And what sort of roles do we have in meetings? Let's start there. So now we're brainstorming vocabulary. By the way, when I show my screen, I can't see you in the chat window. So if anything strange happens, you have to tell me. And if you want to speak, you're just going to have to speak. I can't call on you. All right, so I'd like to do this as a pretty much open brainstorming. What roles do we have in meetings?
CEO?
Yeah, go for it.
CEO role?
The CEO, I heard?
Yes, teacher. CEO, Chief
Okay.
Executive.
Okay. So in a meeting, what role would the CEO play if the CEO was in the meeting?
The boss.
Well, he or she wouldn't play the role of the boss. He or she would be the boss. Right? It's true. But you're absolutely right. A CEO could take part in a meeting. So what concerns me here is just in the meeting, forget about the rest of the work, just in the meeting, what will we call the CEO for the purposes of that meeting?
Chief
Businessman?
Executive Officer?
We'd have to call him or her something else.
Workers?
Is this
Debaters?
lots of ideas?
Interviewers.
He's the Chief Executive Officer anyway.
That's true, but what would by the way, let's not say he, because you don't have to be a man.
Yeah.
Yes.
He or she,
Usually is a man.
well, that has a lot to do with the way the corporate
Mr.
world works. It shouldn't be that way, though. So, in the inside of a meeting, is that person going to have more responsibility or equal responsibility to contribute ideas as everyone else? What would you say?
I
The
think less
interviewer?
responsibilities.
Okay, so the first idea I heard was, because I can't see who's speaking, I heard a female voice. Couldn't see who it was. I heard David speaking, and then I heard a female voice. So female voice, who was that?
Yes, teacher. It was me, Salma.
Selma. Okay, so say your idea again.
My idea was that the the CEO would play less responsibility, would have less responsibilities than the others.
Okay, so what would the CEO do in the meeting then?
He would
Yeah.
just judge or say the final saying, like if he is with the project or against the project.
Right, right. Okay, good, good. So,
Makes decisions.
okay, so the CEO would absolutely make decisions, but Selma's saying a very good point. His job or her job is not so much to give ideas, but it's to judge them, right? What do we call that person whose job it is just to listen and to make sure that everyone else is participating?
The listener guy?
The listener guy. Almost, almost. I'll give you a hint. What is the CEO doing in the meeting physically? What's he doing?
Sitting
On a
chair,
what?
on
a
the
chair. So
Yeah.
guess what we call that person?
Chairman.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we say chairman? We don't say chairman. What do we say? Chair?
Chairman.
Chair?
Man.
No.
Chair listener.
Chairman.
Chairperson.
Oh,
Ah.
yes. Because maybe
woman.
it's a woman.
Yeah.
Chairperson.
That's not a crazy idea, is it? So
Chairperson.
Excellent. All right. And what is the CEO doing as the chairperson? Okay. Well, he or she is, let's say, leading the meeting. Let's put it like that. Okay. And I'm gonna move this over here, talk about responsibility. In fact, I'm just gonna get rid of CEO because oh no, it erased everything. Hold on. Chairperson and leading. And another skill we talked about is just listening. Listening, and finally, instead of judging, let's say deciding. Because judging could mean something else, like being judgmental. We don't mean that. We mean making decisions. Okay, and I think, David, you were saying something as well before Selma, right?
I said interviewers, but that's all.
You said that he was, you said interviewer.
Yep.
Right? Well, this would not be an interviewer, right? Because in this particular case, it's meant to be a discussion, right? So the ideas flow back and forth. Whereas in an interview, we're trying to get information out of a person, right? So I wouldn't say interviewer, only for that reason. Okay? So one role is the chairperson. What do we call the people who are not the chair people? What do we call the rest of them?
Managers?
So again, in the structure of a company, they're managers, sure. But in the meeting, there's something else. In the structure of the company, the CEO is the boss, but in the meeting, he's something else. He's the chairperson. So what would we call the managers? Employees, right? In the structure of a company, they're employees, but in the context of a meeting, they're not so much employees. What are they doing in the meeting? In a very general sense.
Right, but
they're speaking,
listening.
not just listening, they're speaking.
Yeah, they're
Participants.
speaking.
Excellent. Excellent. They are participants.
Participants.
Hold on a second. Participants. There we go. We can say they're doing a lot of things, but basically we have to divide our meeting between the chair and the participants of the meeting. Okay? What are the participants doing? Well, the first thing you can do is change the word participant to a noun, to a different kind of a noun.
Participation.
Participation. Participation. So we can use those just to talk about, there we go, just to talk about what people are doing. And there you go. So that's about the role. Why don't we think about, okay, we've got chairperson, participants, and the participants are participating, right? They are engaged in participation. what does the chairperson expect from the participants?
Brilliant ideas.
Okay. Brilliant ideas, we hope so. Any other ideas besides brilliant ideas?
To tell their opinions anyway.
Okay, so
Solutions.
solutions. Wow, there's a real business word.
Yes.
So sharing ideas, offering opinions. Notice the second word that connects with the main word. This is called a collocation. We offer opinions and we share ideas. Those are called collocations. That means word patterns. Okay? And
solve a problem.
And solve problems, absolutely.
Providing reports.
Okay, now we're going to get into another area if we talk about reports. We can do that though. Wait, hold on a second. Problems.
Can I say that he expects that they come up with some ideas? Is the same of offering? It's the same.
It is. It's just another way to say it.
It's
another way to say it.
But it's not wrong, right?
It's not wrong. No. I want to focus a little bit more on business vocabulary. Come up with is like everyday spoken English. So I'm not going to put that on our map. I want to focus a little bit more on the business terminology today. But when we're having the meeting, right, that's a very appropriate way to say it because it's what we call a phrasal verb, to come up with or to get on, right, or to go after. These are all phrasal verbs, and they're used whenever we're speaking, especially if it's a bit informal. Okay, and about solutions, maybe we have look for solutions. Let's do something like that. Okay, so now we've got some ideas about what the participants should do. I think Selma mentioned reports. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay, so besides roles, we have to think of, let's call this the purpose of a meeting, okay? And one of those purposes could be, well, I don't, maybe purpose isn't really the right word. Let's talk about what should we call this? I'm going to call this the product. I don't mean the product of the company. I mean the product of the meeting. Maybe I'll change this later, but for now we'll say product. Okay, and one of those products, no, you know what? Let me change product to outcome. I think that's a better business word here. Hold on. What do I mean by outcome? Has anyone heard that before?
Result.
The result, exactly. So that's a business term that means the result, the outcome. Okay, so we can have a report. Okay, so remember, we're focusing now on vocabulary. So we're just trying to get all of the terms that we're going to use later to have a meeting. So the outcome of a meeting could be a report. Anything else? What else do we do in meetings?
Deal.
Say again, Hazel?
Deal. Take a deal.
Make a...
Deal.
Hold on a second. I didn't catch that. You can write it.
I think.
Oh, make a deal. Okay, gotcha, Rosa. Yeah, I'm sorry. I see it now. Make a deal. Make a deal is like when we're negotiating, and that's not usually in a meeting, because meeting in English means you're all on the same team. You're all part of the same company, right? So reaching a deal or making a deal would be between people in different companies or between a salesperson and a customer. That's why I wouldn't necessarily say make a deal. Okay, but it's a good idea. It's a good idea. So besides reports...
Decisions. They make decisions.
Excellent. Do they make decisions or do they take decisions, Hazel?
Take decisions.
Yeah. Or make.
Maybe, I don't know which
It's
one
both.
collocate better.
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. And what's the difference? American English would use make a decision a little more often, I think.
Mm-hmm.
but we say take if there's in some way something difficult about it, right? Because it has the idea of effort. In the end, he had to, you could say make a decision, make a difficult decision, or take a difficult decision. But I think for me, I would more likely use it if there was something difficult about the decision, and in the end, I really had to think about it a lot. Anyway, I think the main difference is that take is a little bit more British English than American. But you can use it in either case. All right. So we've got
But sorry,
report.
do they have the same meaning?
Basically, yes. Basically the same meaning. There's a difference in the nuance. Does anyone know what I mean
Right,
by
I know what I
nuance?
mean. It's like I know what I mean. It's more difficult. You're gonna use maybe take. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. So the nuance is not the obvious meaning. It's the meaning underneath the word. And sometimes there's a second meaning or a slightly different meaning. So here, the nuance is I think that take would be in a more difficult situation. But it's debatable.
Okay, thanks.
What else can we do in a meeting besides plan or even write a report, make decisions and take decisions? What about getting the ideas themselves? What do we call that process of getting ideas? Excellent. Who said that?
I said that. Sorry. Yes.
Germano?
Yes, I said that.
Okay.
Brainstorming.
Why are you sorry? Don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about. I'm just asking who said it because I can't see the screen right now. That's why I've got to ask who's speaking. Okay, excellent. Yes.
Handle the entire company. Maybe for emergency.
Say about what about emergency? Sorry.
Handle the entire company.
To handle.
Yes.
I think you got the right idea. Let me just turn off my screen sharing for a second. I'm sorry. Who's speaking?
Me.
Who's me? Freddie?
Me. Fred. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Freddie. So can you give me an example of what you mean, and then we'll see how to say it the right way. When you say handle a company, that's not very clear. Handle what?
Maybe the manager or well, maybe the company is throwing by an emergency. They need to make right decisions.
Okay, so to handle a situation. Okay, so there might be a kind of emergency meeting, right? Okay, so that's a good idea. Why not? So what are we going to call that process? It's true we have to make a decision at the end, and we may be brainstorming for different ways to resolve the problem, but what are we going to call that type of meeting where there's an emergency? Let's get some ideas from the group.
Extraordinary meeting?
We don't use extraordinary in that way. That's a very formal use of the word extraordinary. So I would say no. It makes sense, by the way. It's just that we don't normally use it in that way. So this would probably be, I don't know, we're going to have a discussion. What do you think about that? We're going to be discussing. So, for example, if we have to handle, right? I think that's what Freddie is trying to say. If we have to handle an emergency, the meeting there has to be a discussion. Discussion doesn't mean fight. Not in English. Discussion means a conversation, an intelligent conversation. In other languages, discussion means some kind of an argument, okay, but not in English. So handling emergency, having a discussion. So that's not really the outcome of the meeting, but I'm including it here just to move things along quickly. So there's going to be a discussion. What other kind of meetings can we have? So actually, we can add that as a category here. The purpose of the meeting. So there can be an emergency. Emergency. A what? A schedule?
Yes, a timetable or timing about
Do you
about
mean
a project.
about the project? Okay. Well, why don't we call that a project meeting first?
Like a schedule?
Yeah, but to me, the schedule. If we talk about schedule, we need to talk about whether it's the schedule of the meeting or the schedule of the project. If it's about the project, I'd call that a project meeting. But this other idea about the schedule of the meeting. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Hang on a second. Maybe we can call this category, one more category, aspects of meeting. Okay, if you're dealing with a schedule, a meeting has to happen at a specific date and it has to last for a certain amount of time. So what's some vocabulary we need to use to talk about the schedule and the time of a meeting? For example, it's going to be a 1-hour meeting. 1 hour is the what? Time what? Timetable? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking more time limit.
At school, usually it's used this timetable term.
Yeah, I would say so. Timetable is going to be more for the timetable would be when you're talking maybe more about the project, because you could say, what's the timetable we anticipate for completing the project or getting to our first goal? So timetable when you're discussing a project. A time limit can be about the meeting itself. We have a 1-hour time limit to make this decision. What are some other aspects of a meeting? Let's think about the parts of a meeting.
The place.
The place, okay.
The target.
The target, interesting.
Participants.
Well, we've got the participants over there with the roles, the roles people are playing. Someone said place. Where does a meeting take place? Because someone mentioned the word place, so let's be very specific about the place.
In the office?
In the meeting.
In a what? In a meeting what?
In a meeting room.
In a meeting room, okay. Another word for meeting room is?
Boardroom?
Yeah, okay, for that kind of a meeting, sure. Okay, so it could be a boardroom, it could be a meeting room, or it could be a place where you confer with your colleagues. A place where you confer. What do we call a place where you confer with people?
Conference?
A conference room. Excellent. Okay, so it could be in a boardroom if it's like a secret meeting with the top people in the company. You could have a specific meeting room, usually, or it could be in a conference room. And conference rooms are usually well equipped. They have maybe some kind of a video interface, or they're placed for charts and projections. Okay, some other aspects of a meeting, right? We still have. We have purposes of a meeting, and we have aspects of a meeting. So the purposes is the type. We can have an emergency meeting, we can have a project meeting.
Or a brainstorming
what do most companies
meeting,
have?
I think.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Or a...
Yes, but I think that brainstorming fits more on purpose of meeting than outcome. Maybe, I don't know.
But it's a good type. It's a good type as well. But we'll call that a brainstorming session. So the meeting would be a brainstorming session. In other words, that's what you're going to do for the meeting. So we'll call that a session. Okay?
Yes.
And most companies have meetings because companies exist for one reason and one reason alone. Why do companies exist? For one reason. Anyone want to venture a guess?
To be successful?
Yeah. What does that mean?
To make profit.
To make a profit. Companies exist legally to make a profit for their shareholders.
Yes.
That is the legal definition of a company, to make a profit for the shareholders. If you are a company and you don't make a profit for your shareholders, you can be sued, I suppose, right? Your board members, your share members can sue you, or they can oust the CEO. They can kick you out. A lot of things can happen. So what are most meetings about?
Budget?
About budgets. Excellent. Let's call this idea. We're going to call this generally. If it's about budgets or about money, what kind
Ordinary
of meeting would it be?
meeting.
More generally.
Ordinary meeting.
But if it's about money,
Sorry.
if it's about money specifically, because budgets are part of money, what's a
Economic
general word for
meeting.
money?
Economic.
Economy is a philosophical idea. It's a right idea, but not quite right. With
Or
companies,
finance.
excellent,
Finance.
excellent,
Financial.
excellent, yeah. Because it's probably going to be some kind of financial meeting, and one of those topics could be about the budget. Excellent. So now in the category of a financial meeting, besides budget issues, what are some other financial issues or aspects that may come up?
Salaries.
Okay, so budgets. Okay, salaries. Sure. Whoops, salaries is not spelled like that. Salaries. Okay, excellent.
The expenses.
Okay, why not? Expenses.
I'm sorry I'm late for the meeting. Sorry.
No problem. And let's keep going with finance. There's one thing particular when we're talking about finance. What?
Taxes?
Taxes, yeah, but more general. I'm saying particular. There's one particular thing we're missing from this spectrum.
And balance.
The balance sheet is part of a company.
Revenue.
Revenue, good word. I'll add it because it's a good word. Revenue, excellent, good word. Okay, but when you go to have a meeting, what are you showing everyone else? What's your department showing to the CEO?
Material.
Showing material?
You show the figures.
Yes. 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 Yes.
I got it.
Yeah, that's a good word. We don't want to lose these words.
Yeah.
Showing the figures, right. So when we're talking about finance, there's always going to be figures, numbers. And how do we show the figures typically? In what kind of what aspect of a meeting would show the figures?
We use some diagraphs.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're using those graphs, what are you doing? You're making a
Demonstration?
not a demonstration. Close.
A presentation.
Yes. Make a presentation. Okay. So you're going to be making a presentation to show the figures, and if we're talking about figures, I'll put this here for now. We'll say there's graphs.
Sorry, but what do you mean by figures? Is the numbers or?
Yes.
That's what it means, the numbers, right? The numbers. And you can present the numbers in the form of a graph. What are some other kinds of ways? Actually, let's put graph up here for under presentation.
Charts, tables.
Yeah, okay, so charts, tables, why not? Hold on, let's see if I can add tables. Okay. Slideshows or just presentations, PowerPoint, whatever you want to say. Okay, so now let me make this a little smaller. I know you can't see this that well on your screen, but I'm going to print this out for you and post it on the VerbLink site. So now we've got some good vocabulary. Now we can start to really talk more in depth. I can't post it right now, but after class I'll make a PDF and I'll post it. And in future classes, we're going to add to this mind map. So you can have a chance to study this, learn the vocabulary. But now I'd like to turn to, hang on a second, let me turn off my screen sharing. Now that we've got some of that vocabulary, well, you know what? Let me see if I can quickly print this out. If I can, I will, if it lets me print it quickly, I will see if I could No, I don't see a way to do this. I can share it with you, but I can't print it. Nope, I have to print it after class. Okay, in the second document...
Oh, sorry. Snipping tool is the name if you search on Explorer. If you are using the Windows 7, snipping.
Snipping for what?
Snipping tool for you to take a print screen.
No, but I'm using a software, and I'm not sure how to print it as a PDF. That's the problem.
All right, okay.
Because if I print the screen, it won't look very good. But there should be a way to print from inside, but I don't see how to do it.
You want to print it as PDF?
No, but I'll do it after class, and
Okay.
I'll add it to the class. So when you go back to Verbling,
Okay.
click on my name, and then you'll see recorded classes. You'll see this class, and you'll see that I will add an extra link with the PDF from this class, and I'll post it on my Facebook page and my Google Plus as well.
Oh.
Okay, I'd like to turn to the second document now. Now that we have some vocabulary, okay, even if you don't remember it all, not a problem. I'd like to use some of that vocabulary to talk about what makes a good meeting. Okay, so I'm going to put down some points here as we go along, and in the second part of our discussion, I want to focus on what the stages of a meeting are. I want us to agree about this. And then that's really the purpose of our class today. In the next class, we'll use all this vocabulary to start learning good expressions for a meeting and actually having simulated meetings or role plays where we get to be the boss, the chairperson, the participant. We make contributions, we present facts and figures and that kind of thing. So let me ask that general question. What makes a good meeting?
A good preparation, maybe.
Good preparation.
You need your equipment. I mean, if you need flip charts or some kind of hardware, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
A good
preparation.
agenda.
So hang on just a sec. Hold on to that thought for a second. Let's call point one preparation. Let's go with that. And for preparation, you said hardware, right?
Yeah.
Hardware is really for computers. Do you just mean computers?
Not only you
So,
can you also
More general then. Hardware and more generally what?
Other
This is for the whole group.
Yeah,
Another word that's more general than hardware.
appliances.
That sounds like your kitchen. Not just you, the whole group. Let's all brainstorm together.
Devices.
Material. Who said that?
Me, teacher Selma.
Selma again.
It's not my
Selma,
line.
you're in
Okay.
the lead.
Ah.
You're in the lead for
No,
guessing
no.
vocabulary.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got any kind of hardware or oh my god, I can't write. Equipment or generally material. Okay, excellent. So that's one way of being prepared. I agree completely. What else do we want to say?
Agenda.
Yeah, the agenda. Okay, let's talk a bit about that. Okay, let's talk about that. That's a good idea too. Very good idea. I'm going to move that over here. The agenda. Okay, so what do you want to say about that? I think you're right. What do you want to say about that?
Agenda is, if I'm not mistaken, you make kind of a to-do list what you are going to present during the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
or when do you have to present it?
Okay, so we have to clarify this term a little bit.
Okay.
Agenda is absolutely used in a meeting. What's our agenda for the meeting? Okay, so that's fine. Are there any other words we could use?
Notebook.
Nope.
No.
That's a physical thing.
Agenda,
An agenda for us is not a physical thing. It's an idea.
agenda consists the topic of the presentation, or topic of the meeting.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the points to speak or to take.
To speak about. To speak
Yes.
about. Okay. So the topic, maybe the schedule will also be part of the agenda because you've got to stay within a time. What time?
Time.
Management.
No, earlier we had this term. We agreed on the
Time
term.
limit.
Timetable.
Not
Time
timetable.
limit. Time
limit.
limit.
Time limit.
Timing.
Yes. Time limit was what we agreed on in our mind map. Yeah. So the agenda, the schedule, because we have a time limit, so we could have to, or we can talk about schedules, the topics. We can also say meeting points. And when we say points here, it's another way to say subject or topic is a point. The things that you must talk about, the decisions you must make. These are the points. Okay, so that's what we mean by the agenda. We may call this an itinerary. Itinerary. That just
Is
means
topic a common thing, a common word to use? What is the most common? Is like topics or points?
Points, probably. Points.
Points.
Yeah. It's okay. Topic is a general word. It could mean many things. But the meeting points, here are the points we have to discuss today. That's what you'll hear people say. What's on the agenda, right? What's on the agenda for the meeting? What's our itinerary? So these are
of the. Sorry.
right. Okay, yeah. But topics, objectives, all of those can be used. But I think points, itinerary, and those expressions are particularly good. Okay, so we've got two good ideas: preparation, and point two. We're going to call that. What should we call that? Our agenda. I want to say a more general word. I don't want to say preparation for this. I want to say what?
I'm chairing the meeting, maybe.
Okay, sure. Let's go with that. Chairing the meeting. Okay, chairing with an I, like this. Okay, excellent. Let's jump down to our second question. Now we can come back to this later, but for now, let's jump down to our second one. What are the stages of a good meeting? In other words, when you have to break the meeting down into parts, what are the parts?
I think the last part is close the meeting.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so the last thing we're going to do is close the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know, for me the first part is like the brainstorming, and then you go on the time schedule, what you have to do during the day, and then how he said, it's kind of you close the meeting, something like that.
Okay, so if there's a closing, then there's an opening.
Yes.
Right?
I think for an opening, you just summarize briefly why do you call up this meeting?
Okay, so let's call this, so in our opening, we're going to call that, so you said kind of summarizing, right?
Yeah.
Summarizing what exactly?
Why about the meeting? I mean, the meeting topic, the main topic? No?
Right? Right? The reason for the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the part one, it's possible to approve the decisions the last meeting because in the teaching meeting is the first point to the agenda is to approve the decisions.
So let me here and let's work with these bullet points for the second one. Let's get rid of those for a second. Only because we have a structure already. We've got opening, we've got our opening, we've got our brainstorming, another aspect, and we've got our closing. So let's add what you said, but would it go in one of those three categories, or would it be a new category? This part about approving or accepting decisions.
I mean, it would be the second stage, I think, after the opening.
Okay, so
is
decisions, I think.
Right.
Is accept all the meeting, the last meeting. It's about the
Oh, the
last meeting.
last meeting, the one before
Yes.
you.
Previous.
Ah.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha.
It's the first in.
Okay,
In
so
a
we're going to
teaching
call
meeting.
this. We're going to call this. Now, how are we going to call this?
This is a
Something.
Re-summarize
Almost.
of the last meeting.
Almost. Not summarize here.
Remind? No, not remind.
Remind.
No,
Almost.
remember? No.
Reclosing?
Reschedule.
Look after.
No.
I just
Okay.
wrote it for you.
No,
Where?
you did.
Where?
What do you mean? In the document, preparing for a first meeting. I wrote it.
Oh,
We don't see.
Why not?
A recap. Okay.
Recap.
Recap.
Notice we don't say recapitulation. And in fact, a native speaker might not even know what that means because we're so used to saying recap that we've lost the original word. But yes, recapitulation, recap of last meeting. Okay, and then there's a word here that we need to use. How will we do the recap? We're not going to do it from memory. What are we going to use from the last meeting?
We can see it from how, what was the word, from if we took the minutes.
The minutes. Excellent. Yeah. That's one we didn't talk about, but yes, the minutes of the meeting. So we're going to recap properly using the minutes, and I'll put that as a subcategory there. By the way, you should all be looking at preparing for the first meeting. That's our second document. Hopefully you're all looking at that. I hope so. If you want to know what it looks like this. Can you see that on your screen?
Yes.
You should all. Yeah. Because, okay, so these are where I put my 2 discussion questions, and I posted the link on the front page and in the chat window.
Yes.
Okay, but I have to stop sharing my screen or I can't see you. So let's see if we're missing anything here. I'm going to suggest a slightly different structure. I like the opening, but we have to also consider what we do before the opening. Because before a meeting happens, there may be some things we need to do in order to have the meeting.
I mean,
preparation.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a second. For brainstorming, let's include that in another category. Let's just call that during the meeting. There may be brainstorming. And closing, and if we got a before, we've got an after. And we might call this follow-up. So one of the follow-ups will be the recap. Just like in the opening, it'll be there from the last meeting. A follow-up may be a recap. So that could fit in 2 different categories, actually. Why not? So we'll put that there as well. Now that we have a structure before the opening, during the meeting itself, the closing, and after, maybe that helps you start to think a little bit better about what actually happens. So in the during stage,
it's possible both voting a decision.
Is it possible? I heard decision and I missed a word. Is it possible? What about decisions?
Making decisions? No.
Share ideas.
Okay.
But that's brainstorming, isn't it? To share ideas.
Yeah.
Opinions to make a decision or vote.
So I'm going to put here taking decisions, and I'm saying taking because we'll assume that these decisions are not so easy. So we're going to take decisions during the meeting.
Or
so maybe
discuss it. We have discussions during the meeting.
Absolutely. It's going to be brainstorming. It's going to be discussion, and let's discussion of points because we used that as a vocabulary word earlier. What else?
Proposals.
Oh my God! There's Ahmed. He's back. Yes, proposals. Hang on a second. What do I want to say here? There's something else I wanted to add before I forget. Outcomes, yes. Oh, right. Look here about points. I want to introduce a term here, which we're going to call action points. What do you think of? What do you think would be the difference between a point or a decision point versus an action point?
Decision point is just a talk.
Just a discussion, right?
Yes, but
Right.
action points is it is taken into the
Facts, no?
the practical side.
Yeah, okay, so it's taking the discussion out of the meeting room into the practical world, putting it into practice. So an action point is something you will act on. And it's very important to distinguish the two so that you can really have a clear result of the meeting. So an action point. Okay. What else do I want to say here? Anything else? I think... Yes?
Sorry. Taking
Go for it.
decision is possible. Democratic or chairperson take a decision, no? Is depend.
Okay. In about regarding the sharing of time and the sharing of speaking time, we have to. I'm going to introduce another word. I like the idea, but let's call this. That's about sharing the meeting, and maybe here I have some notes of my own. I can just add one or two. Let's maybe call this sort of monitoring and what I have and controlling. Let's say monitoring and controlling the time per.
This is the timekeeper.
And yeah, could be. There could be a timekeeper. It depends on what kind of meeting, but yeah, could be. Why not? Okay. So I think that for now, we're going to have to stop. Some of you have other classes to go to. This is going to be a series that I'm doing. Today, we established the vocabulary. I'm going to print out our mind map, post it to the class. And in the future, what we're going to do is actually have meetings. I think the next class is going to be much more about the language of meetings.
Okay.
We're going to get into the different types of the different things that you want to achieve are going to require different sorts of expressions. So we're going to get more into that, and I'd like at the end of the following classes to actually have a miniature meeting. Maybe we can start with a 5-minute one and go to a 10-minute one and work our way up to a 30-minute one so we can get to put all this into practice. Okay, so check back later on, or you go to my Facebook page and Google Plus page, and I'll make sure you have all the vocabulary that we did. And I'll see you next week at the same time. I think I have to check verbally, but I believe next week at the same time for the next in the series of How To for Work. Any questions? You can send it to me on Facebook and Google Plus. Otherwise, I'll see you next week, and I'll see you later today for a Talkaholic text class. Talkaholic texts class. That's really hard to say. Okay, see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you soon.